hot take. The title of the movie is actually sort of dishonest. This isn't Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. The title should actually be Harley Quinn and the Fantabulous Emancipation of the Birds of Prey. That's right. I'm that guy. You know, the one who thought Birds of Prey it was pretty good, actually, but not great. I really wish I had finished this video earlier, because I would look like a predictive genius right now. But anyway, I know this isn't as spicy a take as there isn't enough sex appeal in my movie, but it's what you got. So let's talk about some minor issues I had with Birds of Prey, but specifically how I reckon Harley Quinn shouldn't have been the main character of this movie. Or should she have? Also, there wasn't a classy musical number that involves a weirdly large amount of sexual innuendos for no apparent reason in this movie.
Aquaman's always courageous, his little fish less outrageous. Plastic Man can expand, becomes putty in our hands.
So automatic 0 out of 10. Sorry everyone, that's just how it is. I don't make the rules around here.
While the boys can keep you punks at bay, no one does it better than the birds of prey. While the boys can always save the day, no one does it better. No one does it better than the birds of prey. Birds of prey.
Okay, before we talk about the hyena in the room, Miss Harley Quinzel herself, let's just go over some minor criticisms. 1, I really wish we delved into Black Mask's psychology a bit more. The best scene in the movie with him is actually the one where he thinks the lady is laughing at him and he completely flips out and then he demands she gets on the table and dance, and then he demands the guy with her cut her dress open. There was just so much tension in the air, and it was also when Black Mask was at his scariest. I loved it. We got to see how fragile he was, and then how he needed to turn his uncertainty around by demonstrating the control he did have. I wish we leaned into that a little more. The scene where he finally puts on the black mask, he sort of has a little freak out, and I wish there were more moments like that. You know how in Daredevil Season 3 they really delved into Dex's mental instability and how he hears the buzzing noise in his head? I kind of wanted something like that. This is a minor criticism because Daredevil is a TV show and this is a movie, so time restraints are a thing. Also, I wish he didn't die, so he could have shown up in future DC movies. Oh well. Nitpick 2. I feel like the non-linear telling of the plot kind of hinders itself because some characters vanish for long stretches of the film as a result, which I feel is an issue in what is technically supposed to be an ensemble film. This sort of comes into play later in the video. Birds of Prey isn't actually a Birds of Prey movie, but we'll get there. Lastly, I feel like this movie sometimes indulges in the we're sort of giving superpowers to a character who isn't superpowered here and there a little. A lot of this can just sort of be chalked up to plot armor and a cartoonish style of violence, so it works a lot of the time, but once or twice here and there I kind of tilted my head a little, but mileage may vary. And as I said, that's kind of a nitpick. Actually, the most unbelievable part of the film was that Cassandra Cain didn't know who the Joker was. They make a joke about it, but I didn't buy it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I just feel like it was a bad joke. And as the master of bad jokes, I think I'm pretty good at sniffing them out. That's all I'm good for, really. Anyway, let's get to the actual issue now. The main girl herself. Birds of Prey isn't about the Birds of Prey. So I'm writing this at 2:36 AM and recording it a week later because I'm a lazy piece of hack, a few hours after seeing the film on a Saturday night. So maybe this is the sleep deprivation talking, or the fact that I'm still developing feelings about the film that I'll disagree with in a week, and I couldn't be bothered rewriting the script. But anyway, let's go. My only real concern about this movie from the start was that despite the title, it wasn't actually going to be a Birds of Prey movie. I was always concerned that it was going to be a Harley Quinn movie featuring the Birds of Prey. And the movie was pretty solid as it turns out. But it also turns out my one concern did indeed come to pass. So here comes the hot take that isn't really a hot take. Harley Quinn shouldn't be the main character of this movie. Dun dun dun! You're not surprised though. You already knew that because you saw the title of the video and the intro. Anyway, the Birds of Prey don't even technically form until the main conflict is over. Am I the only one who sees the issue there? They form in the epilogue, essentially, and all the characters don't even end up in the same room together until the final battle. That's because the birds of prey forming is essentially a subplot in this movie, which is weird because the title of the movie is Birds of Prey, and you can see I'm getting too hung up on a title, but Warner Brothers agrees with me, so I just feel like it's weird that this is actually the Harley Quinn movie. The issue, too, is that the best portion of the movie, which is the start, is literally the Harley Quinn movie, so I'm kind of at an impasse with myself. It's a problem that it's a Harley movie, but the best parts are the Harley movie, so just think about this for a moment, though. The central conflict of the movie doesn't have anything to do with Harley. It really doesn't. Black Mask had Huntress's family killed. Later, he wants to use the diamond to get her family fortune. Huntress obviously wants revenge on the people who killed her family, plus it's her fortune. Dinah works for Black Mask and knows Cassandra Cain. Renee Montoya wants to bring Black Mask down and also knows Cassandra Cain. Cassandra steals Black Mask's diamond. Harley Quinn is involved because Black Mask wants her dead, and she tells him she'll track down Cassandra Cain for him in exchange for her life. That isn't necessarily a problem, but I think it says something about the story that when the main conflict starts, it then has to contrive a reason for its main character to remain the main character. The main conflict just isn't about her. The film frames her blowing up Ace Chemical as the beginning, but no, that had nothing to do with the actual conflict of the film. People finding out Harley broke up with the Joker and therefore she's open season has actual little bearing on the main plot of the story of the movie. And it's starting to rain. Hell, the first time I tried to record this, none of it worked, so I ain't doing it again. You can listen through the rain. Anyway, the reason I call this a conundrum is because I really like Harley in this movie. Margot Robbie is great, she's funny, and I adore the first portion of the film, and, dare I say it, she's also very pretty. In fact, when the movie interrupts her busting into the police department to backtrack, I actually think that's when the movie starts to slip a little. This is the core issue here. The movie isn't really about Harley, but it also has to fundamentally bend over backwards to still make it about her. But she's also the best part of the movie, so you don't really want to remove her. They have to contrive a reason why she's there, though, which again isn't necessarily a problem, but it takes away from the actual birds of prey, the people in the main title of the movie. Let's talk about Huntress. Boy, does she get the short stick in this movie. She is barely in this until the end. She shows up every 25 minutes for maybe 30 seconds, and then she's gone, which is odd because she arguably has the most personal connection to the main conflict. And again, she's barely in it, probably because we needed screen time with Harley. This really isn't an ensemble movie, oddly enough. This isn't Guardians of the Galaxy. This is more 2000 X-Men in that it's technically a team movie, but it's actually focused on one character. Birds of Prey just isn't really about the birds of prey. The actual birds of prey are side characters in the Harley Quinn story. Harley should probably be a side character when you think about the plot and how she factors into it, but for some reason this story is told from her perspective. A different film might have done this to make some kind of point, but that's not what this movie is. The conundrum really does come from the fact that Harley is really good in this, but she ultimately takes away from the birds of prey themselves. It's not really an ensemble movie. I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself. This connects to the non-linear issue I mentioned earlier, where some characters vanish for long stretches of the film. The birds of prey are the ones who vanish. The birds of prey are supporting characters in their own movie. But also, they really shouldn't be, because the movie isn't actually about Harley once the major conflict kicks off. So the movie is almost wrestling between being a birds of prey origin story and a Harley Quinn movie, and something just didn't quite work there. Huntress getting shafted in this movie feels like a side effect of it being a Harley movie, because she really should be the main character. Fanfiction time. You can all collectively groan now. Let's do sleep-deprived fanfic writing. I'm sure this can't go wrong. Imagine this movie without Harley for a second, and instead, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is at the center as Huntress. So, in my Birds of Prey, Huntress is the main character, and at first she just wants to kill her family's killers, but then she runs across Cassandra, and she's like, oh, I guess I'll help you and get my family fortune back, and then it's by spending time with her that she realizes that, she didn't really have a proper upbringing, because she never got to be, like a teenager and interact with people her own age. And it's through meeting Cassandra and the other birds of prey that she realizes that, hey, maybe there's more to life than just killing people. And that's why she decides to be a vigilante at the end, because she doesn't just want to be a killer. She wants to, like, do some sort of actual good. I mean, that's just my pitch anyway. And because Harley isn't in the movie anymore, there's more time for Black Mask development. So, winning? That's my pitch anyway. Did any of that make sense? I'm kind of half looking off my notes now and half just ranting off the top of my head. I have a feeling I might be veering into judging this movie on what I wanted it to be and not what it is territory, but this is just how I feel. And again, I did feel like this movie was still pretty solid. I'm just not in love with it. It felt like originally they wanted a Birds of Prey movie, but didn't think it would do well enough. Oh, the irony. So they attached Harley to it. But then it became a Birds of Prey movie inside a Harley Quinn movie, and I think it suffers a little because of that. Because the movie feels like it kind of neglects what it should be about. I guess you could argue that it's sort of a balancing act the movie doesn't quite pull off. I think the fundamental issue is that it's trying to tell a Birds of Prey story through the lens of a Harley Quinn story, so it just doesn't quite mesh. Maybe I'm being really pedantic about the title of the movie, but if you call your movie Birds of Prey, I expect the Birds of Prey to be front and center. And I feel like it hurts the pacing and structure a little that it's essentially a Harley Quinn movie for the first, 30 minutes, and then when the actual plot kicks off, you realize Harley didn't really need to be here. And again, because of the non-linear timeline, it means some of the actual Birds of Prey just aren't in the movie for good chunks of it. Seriously, Huntress is barely in this. The conundrum really comes from the fact that Harley is just so much fun in this movie, and I think she's portrayed really well, but maybe she didn't need to be here. The movie feels a little torn between being a Harley movie and a Birds of Prey movie. Okay, I reckon I'm just repeating myself now definitely, so I'm going to wrap this up. This is my only real big criticism, and I feel like I might be the only person who thinks this. Some people might agree with me on the title, though. Only time will tell, I suppose. Maybe I'll disagree with this whole video a week from now. I just felt like there was something off about the film's balance, is all. I still think it's a more substantial criticism, though, than how dare they not overly sexualize these women. Is it a hot take to say Margot Robbie is still attractive even in that outfit? Is that a controversial opinion? I don't even really like this costume either, to be honest, but she still seems pretty attractive to... I don't... Like... Can women only be appealing if they're being, like, really overtly sexualized to these people? Like, I'm not even angry. This shit is hilarious. See you folks next time. Hopefully my next script won't have been written at 2 in the morning and then only mildly edited later by a slightly more awake me. I really need to fix my sleep cycle, to be honest. Until next time, folks, always remember, that episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold is fucking weird, man. I love it, but it's weird. Why are all the verses sexual innuendo about the male heroes? Why is it like this? This is a kid's show, right?